How many of us have gone through this situation where you tell yourself or you find yourself knowing what you need to do but don't do it, or you're not doing it? And that's what brings us to this particular. You know that you need to exercise, but you're not exercising, or you haven't started exercising. You know you need to start a business, you haven't. You need to go to church, but you don't. You find yourself procrastinating unnecessarily. I came up with an ideology that might help us start when we need to start and do what it is we need to do when we want to do it. So stay tuned, let's go into it. In the book of Matthew chapter 6 verse 34, it says, do not worry about tomorrow. You understand? The Bible teaches us also that we should be anxious about nothing. What does that statement mean? I found out that one of the major reasons why we don't do what we need to do is because we have exerted so much energy planning on that particular idea in our minds, calculating the problems that will come out from doing that thing, calculating the failures that will come out from it in such a way that we no longer have the morale to go into that thing we want to do. How many of you have it happened to that when you want to start something, you notice that you are overthinking it? What if this thing doesn't work? What if this thing fails? And before you know what's happening, your mind, all you're just doing is planning and planning. I need to study more. I need to learn more. Then you end up not going into exactly what it is you want to do. Today we're going to help ourselves start doing what we need to do when we need to do it. Right? I want us to know the basic principles here. First of all, rule number 1, starting is hard. In anything that you want to do, if you're someone that wants to lose weight, starting is hard. If you're someone that wants to make money, starting is hard. If you're someone that wants to do business, starting is hard. There's nothing good that you want to do. And the reason why starting is hard is because starting starts in the mind. Our brain overanalyzes a lot of things. So you say you want to start a business in selling pap. Your brain will analyze all the problems that can come up and never give you any good part. Why? Because of our past experiences. Many of us have experienced failure so many times, which is natural. In order to succeed, you must fail so many times. But because of that failure so many times, the apprehension of starting becomes very tough on us, that we don't go into the business of starting anything anymore. Before we talk about losing weight, you say, what if I can't? What people will laugh at me? What all these negative emotions will fill you up and you end up not starting. Right? So what we are here to talk about, the reason why we can't start, the reason why we know what to do and don't do it. One of the reasons we're going to focus on is anxiety and fear. Anxiety and fear. Here, we're defining anxiety as a cautionary response to an immediate threat. So what I mean by that, definition of fear, not anxiety, sorry, I made a mistake there. We're defining fear as a cautionary response to an immediate threat. So, assuming I pick up a knife now and go after my cameraman, and he runs out of my office and starts panting, that is a response to a fear that he's seeing immediately. He has responded to that fear. He's not imagining it, right? But anxiety is based on an imagined future danger. So you want to start something, and then you tell yourself, I can't go jogging, maybe because they kidnap me for road, something like that. Your mind already brings up reasons why you will not go into what it is you're trying to go into. It's not a very healthy process for us. You keep thinking of the things that can go wrong, never thinking of the things that can go right. You keep thinking of everything that has gone wrong every time you try to start. And most of the reasons that those things go wrong is because we never actually conclude, we never actually really start. We only remember the cautions that our mind was engaged in, and then hold on to those cautions and use those cautions as yardsticks for the next thing we want to start, and the cycle keeps repeating itself and repeating itself and repeating itself. Now, we have to stop that, right? So the major, what I'm trying to say here is this: what we are basically worried about is failing. And most of us say we have fear of failing. There's no such thing as fear of failing. You cannot be afraid of failing. You are afraid of the feeling that failing will give to you. Because failing, if you fear, as we described, is cautionary response to an immediate threat. And failing is something that will happen in the future based on what you're about to start. So you can't be afraid of failing, because failing has not happened. The fail itself has not happened. What you're doing is you're anxious. And anxiety, unfortunately, gives all the responses of fear. Every single response. When I wanted to start this YouTube channel of mine, every single anxious feeling came into my mind. What if I don't get any subscribers? What if it does not grow? What if I don't make a good video? What if my family members laugh at me? What if? Anxiety. Since I decided to start, none of those things really matter. And I will tell you what I did to start. That is what we're trying to do here. We're not talking about a process that is already successful. My YouTube channel is not very successful. What we are saying is the ability to start. Because that is the first step. The moment you have not started, you have not started. You're only just having anything in your mind. You're not actually doing anything, you know. So, and what anxiety does to us is, in everything that we are trying to do in this world, energy is involved. I'm into solar installations. That's one of my skills. And energy is the amount of power you run over time, which is kilowatt hour or watt hour, right? Energy is involved. When you are anxious, you worry. And when you worry, you spend time. And the time that you will spend energizing yourself to think of the benefits that you will get from the products that you're trying to do, the business you're trying to do, you spend it worrying, and it drains you because you have spent energy. And what that does for you is that you keep on preparing to do it. I will do it tomorrow. Procrastination steps in. Fear. Let me just start tomorrow. Fear has taken over you. You're not focused on what it is you're trying to do. You have converted the energy of the action to an energy of anxiety, and that has now brought a result of failure in your mind. Does that make any sense, what I just said there? So we need to try our best to make sure that we stop being anxious. And you can't necessarily just say, I'm going to stop being anxious. I'm not going to be anxious anymore. No. If you follow my classes, I don't know whether I've said it here before, that willpower can be drained. So if you continue trying to exert willpower all the time on anything you want to do, the time will come when you drain up your willpower and you have no more willpower. So you need to manage willpower and replenish it. So the best way to stop a bad habit is to replace it with another habit. You can't just stop being anxious all of a sudden and say, I'm not going to be anxious of the future anymore. From today, I'm going to stop being anxious. No, it's not going to happen. So what is it that will help you currently? You now that want to start a business, you that want to talk to that woman, you that wants to become a better person, you that want to exercise, you that want that thing you want, what will help you? I'm talking to you now. Go into that particular phase of life that you want to. You have to replace anxiety with anticipation. You know, this is the place where you're supposed to do that drum rolling. Like I've revealed something very, very, very grand. You have to replace anxiety with anticipation. I'm writing a book called The Bulletproof Mindset, Resilience in Business, you understand, for entrepreneurs. Anxiety is one of the reasons why many of you haven't started the business you're supposed to start or being the person that you're supposed to be. You understand? One of the major key things in the Bulletproof Mindset that is having a mind of stone, making sure that your resilience in every way is to replace anxiety with anticipation, right? I've said it earlier on that anxiety drains energy. Anticipation is your fuel. Anticipation refuels you, right? What exactly is anticipation? Anticipation is, how will I put it? Anticipation is the energy you get from the presumed result, successful result in future. So the way anxiety is the drain of energy from the failure in future, anticipation is the energy you get from the presumed. So you're here now, you say, I want to start a business in solar energy, as they say, and based on your research, you have put yourself to work, you anticipate the result of sales, customer satisfaction, and the joy it will give to you. And that's what fuels you every day to make sure you go into that business. And the truth about it is that the only way to actually learn any process is to start that process. Before I started solar energy business, I didn't know anything about solar energy. But I started the process, and one step at a time, I became better, to the extent that I'm even actually training people right now in solar energy. So it's not easy. Before I started the commodity business, I also do commodity trading. I didn't know anything about commodity trading till you start it, and then you get better at it, right? So anticipation, you must replace anxiety with anticipation, right? So what we are trying to say here is this: when you are about to start a business, or when you want to start anything, make sure that the force and speed that you're using to approach that thing is more than the distractions that are around you. I want to use one of the examples that someone I love so much, but I'm going to use. He used an aeroplane. If an aeroplane is trying to take off, let me get my body. So before I became a businessman, I was a dispatcher, right? I did flight dispatch. And in flight dispatch, when we are the ones that determine the weight of an aircraft by calculating the exact amount of load that should be on an aircraft. So when an aircraft wants to take off, tire here, there's a point on the air runway that is called a point of no return. What that means is this aircraft has taxied to this runway. The aircraft needs to move at a speed that when it gets to this point of no return, two things will happen. It's either it takes off or it crashes. It's as simple as that. When you want to start, that's the mindset you're supposed to have. You're supposed to gather so much momentum in your starting that will push you so that when you get to your point of no return, you either take off or you crash, right? Now, you need to understand that the reason why you're anxious is because the principles that made you fail in your previous businesses, right, were not stronger than the principles required to succeed. So what I mean by that statement is, this aircraft, if you know an average aircraft weighs about 30,000 kilograms with load and everything. 30,000, that's a lot. And there are a lot of principles working on an aircraft. There is gravity, which is G. There's resistance to airflow resistance, which is R. And there is I've forgotten the last one. Well, let's use these two. But still, a 30,000 kilogram aircraft takes off. Why? Because the principles that are working in its favor, based on the fact that it has accumulated enough speed, are greater than gravity. And gravity is a very strong principle, right? But still, the aircraft will apply other principles. Momentum, right? It will apply trust, right? Momentum, trust. This is where trust is coming from. Momentum is the speed, right? And to apply lift, air will lift it up from here. To make a 30,000 kilogram product fly at a speed that is astonishing. Look, I'm not trying to teach you aircraft designs. I'm just trying to make you understand that the moment the principles that you are working with, especially if you're in Christ Jesus, are bigger than the principles that are holding you back, and then you don't allow past failures affect you and make you anxious, you will start. And for those of us that start, realize that when you start, you find out that the problems you were thinking, the way you thought about it in your mind, in reality is way easier than the way you calculated. I mean, in your mind over magnifies the situation. But when you come into it, you find out that it's not as difficult as that, and you learn on the job, right? So, what we are saying is, starting requires momentum so strong that stopping will feel unnatural. So, starting will require momentum, strong one, that stopping will feel unnatural. So when you want to start, whenever you've made up your mind you want to start, you have to start so strong that stopping will feel unnatural, right? And as we have said, we should replace anxiety with anticipation. Liking your starting to launching of the rockets, to starting like a race car. Don't liken your starting to riding a bicycle. There's nothing like slow and steady. When you want to start, you start strong, you start hard, you move fast. That's the way to start. So that you make sure, don't start like there is an option. Start like it's either this thing succeeds or I go. Those are the way, that is what starting is. I'm not saying starting involves carrying all your money and putting into a risk and losing your money. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the mindset of starting. The mindset of starting, right? So, you know what I'm trying to make you understand, in other words, is that clarity kills anxiety. When you're about to start whatever it is you want to start, make sure that it is clear in your mind. How do you make something clear in your mind? In the book of Habakkuk, if I'm not wrong, it says, write it down. Make it clear. Write it down. Make it clear. So you can know exactly what you're doing. So you will not have a half-baked plan on what you intend to achieve. Now, you might not know how to achieve that thing. For example, you can say, I want to learn how to drive a car. That is your ambition. Then you start looking for people that can teach you how to drive a car. You understand what I'm trying to say? Make it clear. Write it down. So I'm going to give you a few action plans that you can use to kill anxiety and start taking actions today, right? Take an inventory of what you're anxious about. Write it down. Don't forget I say clarity is everything. So write it down. I'm anxious about starting this business because I think I won't get clients. I think it will be too expensive. I think I don't know enough. Write it down, right? Then visualize the best case scenario vividly. Write it down. But regardless of all these things I have thought of, what is the best thing that can happen to me if this business succeeds? I will make so and so income. I will give joy to so and so person. I will, and you write it down, right? Then replace hesitation with momentum. Very important, right? Scrap hesitation and replace it with momentum. Applying these truth-based principles will push you away from anxiety and will be a full force that you require to succeed, especially going forward. Please start today. Don't let anything hold you back. Begin. Don't let failure be the reason why you won't start. And you shall find out that in 6 months to 1 year, you would have become a better person, achieving your dreams, achieving your goals, and growing to be very prosperous, right? Don't forget to subscribe and like this channel if what I've taught today actually impacted you. And please, share. Someone might actually need to listen to what we've said. See you next time.